everybody, welcome back. We have our guest on the line. His name is David Austin, and he is an acoustic rock artist, and he has a brand new single called Cut Hunting. And we're going to be talking to him about this song. We're going to be talking to him about his career, what makes him love music, and so much more. Welcome to the show, David. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you could join us. My show is always something that I want to promote artists with. Being an artist myself, I know how hard it is to make it out there and to get your stuff out in front of people so people can enjoy it. But it takes a passion. And so I'm glad you're here to join that and share that with us.
So I think it all started for me when I was a kid, just listening to music on the radio in the car and singing along. I used to sing all the time. I just loved doing it. And I would try to copy, the singers that I was hearing on the radio. And yeah, and then I think by middle school, there was like a school rock band that I think I wanted to join, but I was too nervous to do it. And my mom signed me up for it. And I think she wouldn't let me get back in the car and go home without doing it. So I kind of had no choice at that point. But that was a really good launching place. We played a lot of modern music, a lot of contemporary stuff. It wasn't like your normal school band where it's all classical stuff. And you're playing like the cymbals or the snare drum or whatever. Like I got to play guitar and sing and do the whole thing. So I think that's where it all started for me. And just having access to the internet and YouTube and being able to watch rockers from the 80s and 70s and 90s, perform. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I just always wanted to do it.
Who is one of your biggest influencers as a band or an individual rocker that you decided that you really like this guy and that's or girl? And how did they influence your career?
Well, I think John Mayer was one of the first people that influenced me when I started writing songs in high school. And I think I was really impressed by his lyrics and his guitar playing and the fact that he could sing and play guitar at the same time and play intricate stuff on the guitar. And it was sort of almost an athletic thing to try to figure out how to coordinate, singing and playing guitar at the same time, that I thought was a really fun challenge. And it was just a fun thing to try to do. So he had a big influence on me early on. And I just resonated with his music in high school. And I still listen to him. I'm going to see him when he comes to Nashville in April, in just like 2-3 weeks. So I'm definitely excited for that. But Mayer, and then like Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, for what I do with my band has been very influential. I have a sax player, and we like to kind of build the songs out and turn them into these kind of movements where it's not just like, a 3.5 minute song and then done, but it's more of a story to it. So I'd say those two guys.
So everybody knows the term rock. We just know what rock is. You're kind of into the acoustic rock. What is acoustic rock for anybody that doesn't know?
I mean, I just say that because I play acoustic guitar, and we kind of have a natural sound. It's not too overpowering. It's not too heavy rock. It's not too produced. It's got kind of a natural feel to it. But yeah, I mean, acoustic rock, I think you could also call it Americana. You could call it blue-eyed soul in some respects with the horn stuff we got going on. Singer-songwriter. Yeah, there's a bunch of different genres I think it works in.
So let's talk about the music industry before we get into your song, because obviously that's a big influencer on how you get out there and what you're able to produce. Obviously back in the 1950s and 60s and even 70s and kind of into the 80s, we have seen that the only way that you could make it was by going ahead and getting signed by a big major label. But
Mhm.
now with the invention of the internet and YouTube and TikTok and all these other places, we're starting to see that that's not necessarily an option. You don't have to use that. You still probably want that, but you don't need to. So you can have more control over your own own music, your own career, and what you produce. You are an indie rock artist. So tell me, how are you utilizing the indie style to it and these platforms to make your music successful?
Yeah, I do certain things on TikTok. I haven't posted on TikTok in a little while, but I had this kind of series of videos of me walking around, walking up to random strangers on the street and on college campuses and with my guitar and just saying, "Hey, can I play a song for you guys?" And just getting their genuine reaction. And those videos tend to do really well. I've got some of those videos on my page. One of them has over 1 million views. Another one has like a few hundred thousand. So those are really good for like getting people interested. Like, oh, what is this guy doing? He's just walking up to strangers with his guitar. Like, it's a good setup. So that's been cool on TikTok. You know, the key with, I think the hard thing about TikTok is getting people to really follow you like long term off TikTok, and to, you know, follow you on Instagram, and also, you know, start listening to your music instead of just being, you know, a quick little 10-second, you know, hit of dopamine to the brain, and then they swipe on and they never think about you again. And you know, Instagram's good. I think Instagram's more of like a brand thing. Like, you put photos up, you know, you have your bio. Well, you can do videos on Instagram too, obviously now, but it seems a little bit more of a representation of like what you do and who you are. But I think in general, like, what I really try to put focus in is live performing and making sure our live show is really good. Like, you could follow us on you could follow me on Instagram, you know, TikTok, all that, but you might not really get the gist of what we do and kind of the energy that we're really trying to put out until you see us live. So I've always loved live artists. I've always loved that atmosphere of being able to see somebody put on a really great show and to just make their songs come to life. And that's kind of what I think that's what I want to get across with my social media presence. Yeah.
You mentioned something very important there, and that's live music. There's nothing that is probably better than that. I mean, a lot of times people show up at a place, don't know that somebody's playing, and then they fall in love with them, you know, because they're able to feel it, they're able to sense it in a way that you can't get off of the internet. You can't get off of a CD. So that's
Yeah.
definitely a big important role for any musician. However, we just went through a pandemic here that really sidelined all live music. And it really did take an effect on a lot of people, not only the listeners, but the musicians themselves. How did that affect you? And did that prolong anything? How did you continue to keep going through that pandemic?
It affected me in a big way. It kind of forced me to move to Nashville because I was living in California previous. And then, excuse me, when COVID happened, California was completely shut down for so long. And it got to the point where it's like, I need to get out of here so I can keep making money playing gigs. So I moved to Nashville. And yeah, it was just a year and a half long hiatus. You know, it was just a big break from like doing what we were doing before. And it was pretty hard, honestly. Like, there were some silver linings of it for sure. But I think in general, it was really tough to just like feel completely like not in control of, you know, what you're trying to do, especially like when you're 24 years old, 24, 25. I think, you know, if I were like in my 50s or I were older, 40s, 50s, it probably wouldn't have been such a big deal because, you know, that's not as opportune of a moment, like as a musician, as somebody trying to be an artist, than when you're 24, 25. So yeah, it definitely like hurt to just have to sit there on the sidelines, especially when I wasn't really affected, you know, I wasn't in any sort of danger or anything like that from the actual disease. And neither were really any of my family members or close friends. So it was kind of like, okay, I guess everybody I know is just kind of having to put their lives on hold for, this greater issue that I wish I could say that, yeah, I really believe in this. I really believe in putting everything on hold. But I can't say that I really did, honestly, the whole time. It felt very, how do I say, it felt very group thinky instead of like individual, personal freedom, let me do what I want to do. Let me take the precautions I want to take, and you can do what you want to do. So yeah, it was hard. It was just a loss of control. And when you're not in control of your life, it's really easy to kind of spiral into, just mental health issues. I think, like, I didn't really struggle that badly, but it just was just such an ongoing thing. Like, when is this going to be done? When can I live my life again?
It did have a negative effect on some people. I mean, some people were really depressed from it, and I can understand why. And I'm glad you said what you said. Actually, I agree with you. I know the same feeling, and so I do share that with you. So
Yeah.
let's kind of get into the music, because now that everything's coming back to normal, we're getting out there. New stuff is flying out, which is good because we need this. We need to be able to enjoy life again and have
Yeah.
fun and go out and enjoy live music and listen to different stuff. So tell me about your music. You have a brand new single out called Cut Hunting. What's that
Yeah.
all about? And how did you name it? Because it's a really unique name.
Yeah. Well, the name comes from a saying that my friend from growing up in California said one time early on in the pandemic. Actually, we were going mountain biking, and he said it. I don't really remember the context, but basically the meaning of the word is, or the phrase is, like, you're searching for kind of hidden, secluded places where you can, hang out and do things that you normally wouldn't do in public or under the watchful eye of parents or police or whatever. So yeah, it's just hunting for the cuts, basically, like the cuts being like the back alleys, or in Marin County where I grew up, it's basically like just the cool, secluded areas and cool views that you can get of the whole Bay Area. And so yeah, the song is just about growing up and going out on Friday, Saturday night and just driving around in the car looking for things to get into.
Absolutely. And those are fun. And, it's nice to when you can actually put, even in a dark situation of like you said, with COVID and finding those places, still being able to put those memories into your songs, because that makes it special and it tells a story that everybody else can share and enjoy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's that song in particular is definitely influenced by like the early Bruce Springsteen stuff. We were talking about him earlier. It's very narrative style, kind of a little bit poetic, just telling a story. It doesn't necessarily add up, you know what I mean? It's not like a 1 + 1 + 1 = 3 type thing. It's kind of just it's just a story. It's just a narrative,
So tell me a little bit about your writing process for this song. What
Yeah.
started it? Did it come with the melody first? Did it come with the wording first? And how did it play out? And how fast and how long did it take you to write this song?
I want to say that it took a few days to write it. I think the chorus kind of came first, and to be honest, I don't completely remember how it really came about. I remember that I was sitting both on my bed in my room in California and also on the back porch of our house while I was writing it, with the sun coming down. So it kind of has this little California kind of bop kind of feel to it, and it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be kind of a groovy song. I can't remember exactly how it came about. I know I probably started with Cut Hunting and then just kind of riffed off that. Yeah.
Now, production of the song, how long did it take? I mean, I heard this one time, this one story about the Beatles. They went in, I think it was on Memorial Day or some type of like major holiday. They went in and just in one take wrote, performed the song. It was perfect. They took off and everything was great.
Mhm.
I know that doesn't always happen, but how long did it take you to record the song? How many takes did it take? Was there anything that you expected that didn't expect to happen? And when you first wrote it to how it's finally produced, how much did it change? And are you just as satisfied or more satisfied with it?
Um, I'm pretty satisfied with how it came out. It was a funny recording process because we recorded the drums in California, in a studio in California with a guy out there that I know. And then we recorded pretty much everything else in Nashville. So yeah, I had a horn player who plays all the different horns, basically stacked them all on top of each other. So he did all of the horn stuff. Once I got out here, I met some great keys players who did some stuff on it. But yeah, it came to life a little bit, and it became what I had imagined in my head for it to sound like. And yeah.
So, what do you feel makes this song unique for maybe a style that you have? Maybe it's the type of song it is, maybe the way you wrote it. What makes this song unique to your past, in difference to your past songs?
It's like I said, it's more of a storytelling thing. It doesn't completely add up, but it paints a picture. And it's definitely more poetic in the sense of kind of free flowing poetry, I think. Um, it's got a little bit of a different form to it. Also, it's not your standard, like, kind of pop, um, 8-bar verse, 8-bar chorus, whatever. It's kind of like both verses are different lengths from each other, but in a weird way. Like the second verse is longer, and some of the chord changes change in the second verse from what they are in the first. And then there's kind of this long musical interlude with this saxophone solo and then a breakdown. So like musically, it there's a lot more to it than some of my other songs. And I think, yeah, it's just kind of unique like that, I guess. It felt cool to me to like write something like that.
That's cool. So, I know that this is a single. How many other are you planning to put this together with like an EP or a full-length album, or is that already out?
Yeah, so I'm planning on releasing a full-length album in summer, either June or July. Haven't completely settled on that yet. But I've released 4 other songs so far, or 3 other, I should say, 3 other from the project, which you can hear, on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. But yeah, it'll be tied in. I think the project will be 12 or 13 songs, kind of in that range. So yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
One of the main important things that we could talk about today is how people can listen to your music, and also how can people follow you and see what you got coming up. And of course, they want to be able to come out and support you at live shows. So tell us how we can find you and where we can get your music.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at David Austin Songs. My music is pretty much everywhere. If you're on Spotify, David Austin. I would go to my website if instead of Googling, because Googling, there's David Austin Roses, which takes up all the SEO, and the Google is kind of messy. But if you go to davidaustonsongs.com, you'll be able to basically access everything from right there. And it's got my show dates on there too. So yeah.
Well, I'm excited to not only not only be able to hear the rest of the album, but also hear this song. And the best way
Thank
we could do it is to play it now for everybody else. So
you.
anybody's watching on video, this is pretty much where we're going to end it. But if you're going to listen to us on the radio, you're going to be able to hear the song, which is Cut Hunting, and it's playing right now. I'm really excited to hear it. Enjoy it, guys, and we'll be right back after the song. So don't go anywhere.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.